welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. I'm Rants. I'm a hardcore host, Rick Head, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. Right now, I'm joined with the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, what's shaking?
Not too much. Got some bad news early today, but we're probably going to get into that.
Oh, absolutely. We are still waiting for Joe to pop up, but apparently he has not shown up, so I think it's just you and me, Lance, for the night.
Right on.
So, all right, you know what? Let's just get right into it. WWE Hall of Famer Iron Sheik passed away at the age of 81. According to his Twitter page, Sheik died peacefully, but they didn't really say exactly how he died. So I'm guessing, Lance, either way, however he died, the fact that he died in his sleep is probably the best scenario out of anything.
Yeah, I mean, with the his past, that's probably the best way for him to go. I mean, he had history of addictions and everything, but, well, he taught you two things. It's better to be a legend. You can either be a legend or a jabroni, and you don't want to be a jabroni.
Yeah.
And fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Joe? Of course, it's Joe from the Skull Realms, Joseph Knight. Joe, yeah, we were just talking about the Iron Sheik who just passed away. Unfortunately, again, a big tragedy, and this seems to we're losing more and more legends now, Joe, and it's really it's becoming an issue,
Well, the way I look at it, they're going to a far, far better place than what we have here. So, it's a sad shame. He was 81 years old.
Just passed away.
And my first, if you guys haven't covered it yet, my first experience to Sheiky Baby was actually the first time I got to see him was January 1984 when my uncle took me to Madison Square Garden, my first ever wrestling, my exposure to professional wrestling. I got to see Hulk Hogan take on the Iron Sheik, who was then the WWF World Heavyweight Champion, who a month prior defeated the Bob Backlund. So that was kind of special. That got me on following the career of the hated Iron Sheik, who later become the lovable, crazy Iron Sheik that we get to know on Twitter.
Now, you said a month later. From what I read on Wikipedia, shortly after, like 2 days after the Sheik defeated Backlund, Hogan stepped in and defeated him.
No, it was a month later.
It was, okay.
It was a title reign. Bob Backlund lost it in Madison Square Garden, and they just didn't want to do the switch immediately. They wanted to build it up. Hulk Hogan just returned from the AWA. He was in the WWF prior to that, and then he went to AWA for a while, and then when Vince started his mega expansion, he brought him back and they had to set it up in order to do the whole Hulkamania born. So there's actually footage, if you look it up. Hulk Hogan actually teamed with Bob Backlund at a house show, and they just claimed that Hulk Hogan was used as a last-minute replacement for Bob Backlund, and that's where stuff came through. Afterwards, Sheik got his returns. He did get to become a tag team champion with Nikolai Volkov when they defeated the US Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo. So, yeah, it's a unique thing. And after that title, which I think he held it for a couple months before they lost it back to the US Express. So that was their last title that he's ever won until from that moment on.
Yeah, the Sheik worked around the territories, including the WWF in the early 70s, the early 80s, I believe he went. Couple of other places, a lot of other places, but he eventually went back to the WWF, where he, like I said, he won and lost the title to Hogan. But I think it really, his career kind of went up even better, I think, when he joined up with Nikolai Volkov, where the two became a long-time tag team champions under the management of Classy Freddie Blassie.
Yep. There is also another funny thing too. Once his career was over in the 1990s, in the WWF, he actually got signed to a contract with WCW prior to Eric Bischoff taking over. And I believe, I'm not sure if it was, I think it was either Herb, not, I'm sorry, not Herb Abrams. Oh God, that raccoon haired Jim Cornette's favorite guy, Jim Herd, hired
Yeah.
hired this Iron Sheik, saw that he couldn't wrestle. The great story with that was that Sheiky Baby was signed to a $100,000 a year contract for a year, and next thing you know, they saw that he wasn't as great as he used to be. And I actually had seen the Sheik take on guys when he was in WCW. He looked it horrible. He was nowhere in the physical condition that he was in the WWF. And the great story is that they sent him home and forgot he was on the payroll, and actually he rolled over a year and was getting paid another year just to stay home. So
Hey,
that's a nice little tidbit for everybody.
I got a little story.
all right.
When he was working the Memphis territory, I think because when they had this one wrestling commissioner in Kentucky, he comes to the show and will not let anybody that's not a licensed ring announcer handle the microphone, which is, everybody knows, Sheiky loved grabbing that mic and doing his thing before the matches. Well, the only person there that had a announcer's license was Corny. So, and he goes to grab it, and Corny keeps trying to pull it away. Come on, and he keeps going, the commissioner, over and over and over again. And finally, in front of God and everybody on the microphone, you can hear him scream, "Fuck the commissioner!"
That sounds like Sheiky.
Yeah, it's Iron Sheik has been gold when he went into Twitter, and we all know the sad story of his drug abuse.
Yeah.
He was on Howard Stern where he literally urinated on himself.
Oh,
You know, it's the sad state, and we all know his scenarios with his home life and all that. So it's something.
well, the thing is I was reading, and apparently his wife had stuck by him throughout the entire time.
Yeah.
I think it was like 25 years, something like that. If I'm not exactly, my numbers are not
I
exact.
think she's still with him for a very long
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah, no, yeah. So, and like I said, they had kids and everything, and they all just, despite his, trials and all his other issues that he had, she stuck right by him. So that just says something about family and whatnot. Um, for me, I still have to say, like, I remember the Iron Sheik and Volkov when they were like doing the tag team, and they would always stop up, and they started off with the entrance of Volkov singing the Russian anthem, and then of course Sheik would follow up and goes, "Man, good Russia #1, Iran #1, America two." Now,
yeah.
Joe, do you think anybody would put up with that shit today?
Oh hell no! Look at my shenanigans. When I said thank you, come again. People get fucking excited.
That's
It,
Joe
it,
at
it,
sportsroom.com.
oh, I didn't say anything that you couldn't go into a regular convenience store and see. So come on now. You know, so yeah, back then Sheik and Volkov were heated. They were in the 80s. Oh, with the whole Iranians taking Americans hostage. You can Google that, folks. The whole thing with the Cold War. So Nikolai Volkov was hated. When they put these two together, they were great. There was also stuff that folks don't remember. Before he became a wrestler, Sheik was Iranian Olympic gold medalist. So he was, in the Olympics as he was in the 1968 Summer Olympics, and he was also a bodyguard for, at the time, I think it was Sheik Mohammed. Uh, freak.
It was the Shah of Iran.
Right, thank you. The Shah of Iran. I said that Sheik wrong, but yeah, with the Shah of Iran. So, and he was trained by Vern Gagne. So again, there's so many stories, Rick, that there's even the famous story where he teamed with. I mean, I'm sorry, not teamed, but he had an issue with the whole um God, he'll Vern Gagne will pay him to break Hulk Hogan's leg because Hogan had left.
Yeah, Terry 3G, welcome to the show, Sherry. He said, it's sad to hear about the murder of his oldest daughter up here in Canada and drove him to a drug addiction years ago. Luckily, he got clean a while back and and still has a relationship with his family, and that's exactly what we're talking about, Cherry. But I was not aware. I forgot that his daughter got murdered years back.
Now, something that I suggest everybody watch after we wrap up, the Iron Sheik's documentary is here on YouTube. So it's a very easy to find. It's in YouTube movies. So after we wrap up, check that out.
Yeah, it's a sad movie of how such a great guy went went down there, but how his career went down. Um, but you know, otherwise, Sheiky Baby was probably like the most funniest guy you've ever won to see, just listen to. I remember when I was in my rookie independent career as a manager, I met Nikolai Volkov, who told us great stories about Sheik. And who could forget, Rick, his famous pointed shoe, his curved shoe boots, wrestling boots.
Oh, no kidding. I can only wonder if anybody ever fell on the shoes and broke it, fucked an eye or something like that. You have to wonder.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you know what? Why don't we move on? Sorry, guys, I was doing it. And we have an update regarding Braun Strowman. We know that Braun Strowman has been out for since April. This was an unknown injury at the time. It's now known that Strowman took to Instagram, where he confirmed that he recently had a fusion back surgery on his C4 and C5 vertebrae. Strowman confirmed that his situation is worse than he thought. In fact, his arch on his right foot is collapsed, and his left leg has 15% paralyzed. So, right now,
holy shit.
Yeah, and this was from his words. This was not some report. This was from his Instagram. So, Joe, I mean, honestly, if you ask me, I think his career is done.
Oh yeah, his career. Anytime you have any type of serious surgery, the most recent one, Stevie Richards. Stevie Richards had a severe spinal injury, and he's finally out of the hospital, folks. But here's the sad part: he has to use a walker now.
Actually, we will be talking that in a bit. But yes, go ahead.
So anytime a back injury like that, and especially how big the man is and all that, it's a serious thing. That's not something you just pop, just say, okay, I'm going to rebound and become back as a wrestler. Anytime, any back injury, if you take a bump the wrong way, you fall out of the ring, you get slammed, anything could make it, so you could be paralyzed. Andre the Giant had severe back issues following the last bit of his career, and he was mobilized down to using crutches to walk around and in a walker. So, Braun, if don't run, if you're thinking of coming back to wrestling, don't. Here's the best thing you could do: just find something else to do in life. Let your back completely heal, and it's better to be able to walk around to grab your children, hug them, and maybe someday grab your grandchildren and lift them up and walk with them than be crippled in a wheelchair for something that you're gonna get good pay, but it's not gonna last long. So
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
advice, and really, there's over at the YouTube, Ryan from Damage Incorporated is over there. We got Terry 3G. So welcome, guys, to the show.
Yeah, welcome. Lance, what's your thoughts on Braun Strowman's update?
Well, it's like this: 95% he's done and bad, but when you start having surgery near your spine, which let's face it, a fusion is. I hate to say this, but the big man's done.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you have neck injuries or even spine injuries, you're going to be lucky if you can be walking. Very few wrestlers have the luxury of coming back. I think how many wrestlers have we seen come back since a neck injury? I think the only one that we could think of offhand is Saraya. Kurt Angle's had a
Un-
broken, busted neck.
Awesome.
Unfortunately,
Um, and but I can't really right now. The only other person who's out with a broken neck is Big E. He's out with a neck injury. So
Well, Bliss, Edge, Austin.
all right. Um, but even though let's move on. I really hope the best wishes to Braun Strowman. The only thing we can do is, like I said, best wishes. And Joe's absolutely right. He needs to come back and worry about his own safety and stop and find a new career. That's what he needs to do. So
yeah, something like that. God, you don't want to rush. I mean, it is so bad when you there's no put it like this, that is a situation where honestly your career is so done. There's no reason for you to come back. There's no reason to get involved in the wrestling business at that point. So the big man's best thing he could do is just say, "Okay, I am done, and it's time to move on." That's this is why I always tell people whenever you're a young guy in the wrestling business. And Rick, I'm sorry if I'm going to go on a little bit thing. I'll try not to make it long, but if you're an inspiring wrestler or you're in the business, learn something else for God fucking sakes. Don't, you know, don't think that wrestling is going to be your life for the rest of your days because injuries can happen. If you don't have something to fall back on, then you're screwed to be dependent on constantly destroying your body over and over for nothing really. And then you have to go on the independent scene once the major companies don't want you. So do not, I repeat, do not think that don't find something else because it's necessary in wrestling. Wrestling doesn't last forever. Look at Ric Flair, how he's the way he is. Look at many other wrestlers who left the business and never fell on anything else. So
yeah,
Braun Strowman's in this great position right now that he can step back, reevaluate his life and career, and do something that is going to benefit him, not a company, and where he can start walking around and not worry that one day a bad move, a bad hit, something he gets in the thrill of the momentum and gets slammed in the corner and does a move that the slightest little thing, especially with a spine, your slightest little twerk, pinch, slam, anything, vibration can literally paralyze you. So that's pretty much what I'm going to say about that.
yeah. Real quick, Damage Incorporated also said that Edge had a neck injury, which eventually came back in the 2020 Royal Rumble. But again, look how long it took him to come back, and um, it was more of where Braun, he's already having issues with his feet and his legs. So
Yeah.
I don't think I think when Edge had his neck injury, I think it was more of you can't do this anymore. If you do this, you're gonna get hurt. Where you know, Strowman is already hurt. So that's just something to think about.
Braun's more in the Arn Anderson situation.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, why don't we move along? So for the better part of the year, Lacey Evans has been trying to get her Army kick over with little or no success. Evans modified her gimmick to copy the Hall of Famers gimmick, Sergeant Slaughter's Sergeant Slaughter. She's even went off to start calling herself the Sergeant Daughter. Oh my God. Which did not sit well with the Hall of Famer. He even said the following: "No, this is not okay. WWE, who the fuck does Lacey Evans think she is? There's only one Sergeant Slaughter, and there's only one Sergeant Daughter, and she's not it. She's a fucking poser." So clearly, Sergeant Slaughter was not happy about Evans trying to like redo this gimmick. And to be honest, it looks fucking stupid, Lance.
Yeah. Now, all due respect, she is a Marine. All due respect for her for that. But the past couple of years, she has been doing some stupid, and I mean stupid shit. The whole, oh, processed foods created ADHD or whatever, that bullshit. And now ripping off uh ripping off a legendary gimmick and then saying, "I'm gonna be here if you have anything to say about it, pull up." She needs to pull her head out of her ass.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what, Joe? We've really seen wrestlers try to imitate or copy another wrestler's gimmick. And with the exception, I say maybe Jay Lethal, nobody's ever done it successfully.
Well, first of all, let's get one thing straight, everybody. It's not her decision. This is a company. WWE gave her this gimmick. Remember, you don't just come out there with a gimmick. You don't say, "I want to do this gimmick." They have to approve it. And they pretty much decided, well, we've done everything. We've done the 1940s Southern Belle or USA Girl gimmick. That didn't work. Every every gimmick they've given this person just doesn't fit. It just This is one of those things where you could sit back and you say, okay, we fucking done everything. What else can we do? Well, oh, Sergeant Slaughter, yeah, let's do another Marine. Let's do another gimmick. You have to be able to get it. You have to be able to get this gimmick over. And here's the funny thing: Sarge, just like Corporal Kirshner, were actually in the military. Has Lacey Evans ever been in the military?
Yeah,
Who
she's a Marine.
knows? Huh?
She's a Marine.
A legit Marine.
Yes, she is.
Then she should have came out with that type of gimmick without copying somebody else's gimmick. Again, this is something that somebody just said, okay, she's a Marine, a former Marine. Fuck. Okay, Sergeant Slaughter. There you go.
I'm sorry. This gimmick has Vince written all the fuck off.
Oh, yeah. It's like I'm waiting for the Macho Woman or Kate the Snake Roberts. Because here's the thing. Today's gimmicks, and trust me, I've seen everybody. We've seen the Bloodline. We've seen in AEW. They're misfits. I've seen indies, which I get people send me indie shows, and I cringe. It's because the gimmicks today, nobody has any intelligence. Nobody has any idea how to perform a good gimmick.
Have you actually seen her gimmick? Have you actually seen one of her promos under the Sergeant?
It's ridiculous. Go ahead.
Yeah, she comes out and she actually tries to like talk like like with this grunting. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
She's trying to be Sergeant Slaughter in a female form. It's whenever you rehash a legendary gimmick like Sergeant Slaughter or something else, it's not going to get over today. No matter how you can't remake the Road Warriors. You can't remake the Macho Man. You can't remake Hogan, Flair, Steamboat, or any of these people.
You know what? Maybe if somebody could try to make, the Heartbreak Chick,
Yeah, God. You just cannot do it with today's talent because they can't get over. They don't know how to fucking shoot a promo. Everything is scripted for them. They can't do it because these wrestlers today, no offense to any wrestlers who are listening in, but let's be honest, none of you can cut a promo. Everybody wants to be a spot monkey. And when you're given a gimmick that's not exactly yours, maybe if they would have came out that here's a great thing. If they would have had Sergeant Slaughter trainer like he did Greg Gagne many years during the 80s, when Greg Gagne's career was in the toilet, they couldn't figure out what to do with him. So in the AWA, they decided, okay, let's have Sergeant Slaughter train him as one of his Cobra Corps, which doesn't fit since Cobra is the enemy of G.I. Joe. But anyway.
Here's the thing. They wanted him to. He said hell no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, when that happens, you can't fit someone in a gimmick. That one is the legend who she's supposed to, her portraying is got to be behind it, so it doesn't work. You know, and if the legendary person who created the gimmick or who had the gimmick says no, and she's trying to pull it off, and she's saying she's even Sergeant Slaughter's daughter, you know, that's not even a great. That's not a good thing. That's like when what was it, Rick? What was the name of that tag team that they brought in from NXT? That they made fun of the Road Warriors.
Oh,
The
the Ascension.
Yes, look how they fell apart. That didn't work well. Look when Henry Godwin and Phineas Godwin, they had to bring in Hillbilly Jim to help them, and that didn't go over well with them.
Yeah. And
Gimmicks today just don't work with the talent today. The talent today just cannot function like an 80s wrestler or a 90s wrestler.
Well, see, here's the one thing. You brought up the Ascension. When they were down in NXT, they were formidable. They were incredible. They didn't need to change the gimmick.
Yeah.
But Vince, for some reason, said, okay, we're going to bring them up. We have to, put the funny pads on them to make them look like LOD. And that's where it fucking went south. If they had just went in like that, they would have been great. Could have had shirts and everything else, but nope, Vinnie Mac had to, just change it around. And it's like, if it works, don't change it. It's just...
It's a two-way street. The talent has to be ready to do it, and you have to have here's a perfect example. If Paul Ellering, an Animal, and maybe Barry Darsow, who smashed a Demolition, would have came out and started saying, we're gonna get you guys, we're gonna do something with you, and work the characters, build them up. That way, then lead them out and says, okay, now we've given you our trades. We taught you the Doomsday, the Demolition Elbow. We've given you the mask, the pads, the this, the that. Go out, and if the fans would embrace it, it works. If a legend says, no, screw you, you're not spoiling my gimmick, and the character can't get over, she'll be gone in about maybe less than, I like Terry's words here, the Road Dog.
Yeah,
Lacey Evans,
the sexual white chocolate.
Yeah, yeah. And you talk about me getting into dog. That's Terry at 3gs.com. But it's stuff like that. You just can't do it today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on, guys, we got to talk about Roman Reigns' new Universal Undisputed Championship. Have you seen this, Joe? It looks like fucking like somebody took brown mustards or Golden's mustard and poured it all over the logo and just let it fucking air dry.
Yeah, you know what? I saw that. It was, guess what? Okay, well, Seth Rollins got a replica of the big gold, except they put the fucking WWO logo or WWE logo in the middle of it. The big WW, like great creative. Okay, you brought the big belt back, but you had to add WWE into it. Here's freaking Roman Reigns, whose wrestling career is as exciting as fucking two flies fuck. They give him the same fucking belt. They only added furniture tarnish onto it. Well, let's throw a little wood tarnish on this. It'll probably look good. That's all that fucking belt is. It's just, and people who pop for this belt are fucking morons because they think it's a brand new belt. No, it's the same fucking belt. It just has wood tarnish on it.
Yeah, and they just got rid of the WWE belt, so now he just has back to the Universal belt.
Right. It's like, okay, now we got rid of the 2 belts. Here's your 1 fucking belt. Good luck with that, Junior. Go back and make everybody else fucking more hate you because you haven't done anything in fucking the year you've been a champion. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins gets at least something that looks close to a wrestling belt.
I have to say, if I have to pick the two, I actually prefer Rollins belt. That's a title belt, at least compared to that fucking thing.
Hell, if you want real title belts, go fucking to AEW. At least they have their belts. But yeah, that Rick, it looks like he decided to use furniture polish, and I fucking is ridiculous.
Yeah, Lance, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's gold. That's about the only improvement to the damn thing. Other than that, it's still a shit belt.
Yeah, well, I have to say, from the beginning, I never liked the Universal Championship because they were always changing the color. When it was on SmackDown, it was blue. When it was on Raw, it was red. When Reigns had it, it was still blue. And then he had the WWE Championship. And then, of course, they had to go back down to 1 belt, and they fucking do that shit. It's like, I can't figure WWE out for the life of me, especially when they create their titles. It's no idea.
Well, you know what it is. Nobody has a fucking creative bone in their fucking body up there. So they said, well, he needs a new belt. I would have loved for him to have at least, if you're going to recognize this fucking joker, this poor excuse for a professional wrestler. If you're going to give him a fucking belt, give him the Winged Eagle belt. Might as well. Yeah, put WW somewhere on it. But you have Rollins with the big gold belt with the WW on it. Let's get rid of this. Okay, we know what company you are with, you fucking mark. And anybody who likes that belt's a fucking mark. Because all it is a big WW. Doesn't have anything else distinctive. You can read the tiny clip on the top. Universal. And on the bottom, Wrestling Champion.
This is just an idea. Triple H should have whoever designed the NXT belts design a new Universal belt.
Yeah, this is something that here's a crayon, go to it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. There's nothing to differentiate from anything else. It's just, to me, almost, it's like they took MJF's belt color and decided, let's do the same thing with him. We're Rollins.
No, that's really, no. With MJF's is like, the big brown belt. His is, like I said, it looks like fucking mustard, hot mustard belt, and it's a hot mess. So I guess it works. Yeah. So
that's what happens when you take your wrestling belt to to either a radioactive zone in fucking Russia in Chernobyl, or you take it to a hot dog stand and forget you're wearing it and you're spilling mustard all over it. Oh, wipe it off. Oh shit, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
No, you know what, guys? Look at the color of this belt now. It's tarnished. They took fucking furniture tarnish and turned it into that. And bravo, WWE.
And I understand that Triple H is a company guy, but I mean the way he was talking about this belt, like it was like the newest thing and the best thing that's ever WWE's ever had. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind, dude? I think he's the one who needs to get fucking his brain checked. So
yeah. I honestly, it's a horrendous looking title, and he's proud of it. I love the way people go and say, "Oh, he's 1,000-day champion." No, he didn't earn it. He was given it because they have no one fucking else, and everybody else has won the same fucking belt. And then they give him this tarnished looking belt that looks like something that a worn. Go to Walmart when they have the old heavyweight belts, the WWF foam belt, and it's all tarnished and old because no one's touched it. There it is. They got him a toy belt. Matches his mentality.
All right, let's move along. CM Punk fans have always wanted to see Kenta versus CM Punk match. It's like a fantasy match. However, Kenta took to social media earlier and he said he only cares about the money. This is what he had to say. I don't really care who the original Go to Sleep is. There's only one truth. If you want me to have a match against Punk, give me the correct amount of money. Other than that, I don't need this match, and I don't care about this match. Seriously. Lance, that says a lot.
Well, this is the wrestling business, and Kenta's a businessman, so I can't fault him on that.
Absolutely. And Joe, that's what you're always saying. This is always you always say it's about the business, about the money, and clearly Kenta cares more about that than being known as the best go to sleep guy or whatever.
Oh yeah, because come on now, this. Oh yeah, hitting the whole thing, like the whole sharpshooter versus scorpion leg lock. It's like, come on now. At the end of the day, it's fucking a move. Just pay me and we'll just go. If you're not in the wrestling business, and I understand there's people out there who say, like, when they're young, they're in the business, they got the passion. But if you're not in there for the fucking money, then get out of the business because you're never going to make money. When I first broke into business, Jason Knight, Rockin' Rebel, Eddie Gilbert were my mentors, and they said, if you're in the business to think that you're going to here just for hanging out with the guys and all that, you're an idiot. You're here to make money, and that's it. And Kenta's a smart man. You're not going to play into this, help boost up some guy. You're here just if they pay you, you go in the ring. He's a smart individual. He's most likely saving up for the future so he doesn't have to depend on this. So why would you want to bragging rights over a fucking wrestling move? Big fucking shit. Let's thumb wrestle. I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna wrestle you to see who's the best thumb wrestler in the world. Oh, wait a minute, you gotta pay me first. So he's a smart man. If I've seen other people also do the go to sleep, and it's not a big nowadays. It's I let me ask you guys this question: is the really the go to sleep? Because we've seen people do it like the stunner, Stone Cold Stunner. Everybody now does it. Kevin Owens does it. Other people do it too. It loses its luster. You're no longer seeing the great Hogan leg drops, the Ric Flair properly done figure fours, and all that. It, I think Rick is just a waste of fucking time to even have anybody worry about who's the best person who could do the go to sleep. That's like who's the best person who can wipe their ass.
You know what? I agree with you, but this is from a lot of CM Punk fans. CM Punk marks are screaming for this match, and I'm like, okay, why? If it happens, okay. I think Kenta's a great wrestler. CM Punk, I could, one way or another, I wouldn't care. But if this match would happen, I would guess it would probably be at Forbidden Door. But right now, Kenta doesn't really seem too excited about it. So.
Well, if they're able to come to an agreement, business aside, I think it would be a draw. Like, it would draw people to watch it. Just because that tagline, the battle of the GTSs.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I'm sure a lot of fans would work, but for me, I could care less.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to talk about Bray Wyatt real quick. E-Wrestling News claimed the reason that Bray Wyatt's hiatus was due to having a mental break. However, other reports have seen Wyatt with his girlfriend JoJo, and he apparently was in good spirits. So right now, things are still up in the air with Wyatt's future. So nobody seems to know really what's going on with Bray Wyatt. This is still just a huge mystery, and I don't get it, Joe.
Well, first of all, he's with JoJo. Of course, you're going to have good spirits. That's a given. Like, yeah, maybe talking to the puppets was a little bit too much. I think personally, it was just the burnt out from WWE. They bring this guy in. He's great over with the Wyatt family and the Cape Fear look. Many years prior to that, Dan Spivey had almost a similar gimmick. I forget what was his gimmick name back then. Lance, do you remember? Waylon Mercy. There you go. I'm sorry. It just came out of the thing. And then we saw him had a great run, and WWE started slapping him down. Then he comes back as the Fiend. He's right there. He could be the replacement to the Undertaker, and I know that's hard to say because there's no way you could replace Mark Calloway as the Undertaker. But you can pass the gimmick off to not actually pass the gimmick off, but the darkness theme and all that to someone else. His he had a great run, the mysticism and all that, and the spooky stuff, the fun house thing that he did with the puppets and all that was great and funny. Then they picked them up with. Then they put him with Alexa Bliss. She stole the show, and he got shown the door. Now it's like, of course he's burnt out. How much more can you bring the guy back just to beat him up and then send him back out again? That's
Well,
my problem with WWE.
but here's the thing: whatever illness he had, it was right before WrestleMania. It was like they literally had to cancel a match. So, I mean, why would he, like, I mean, you could say burnt out, but I mean, he was only back for a couple of months and he didn't even really wrestle.
Well, let's look at this. Let me just say this: mental health is a serious thing. It's not something to play around with. If you have a mental health condition, please seek help. Don't let it linger. But I think mostly what contributors WWE giving it to him. He's been put through the well and beaten up after a while, and then they move him off. We've seen so many wrestling companies do that to some talents. They give them the great push, and we're behind them, and then they start jobbing them out. The next thing you know, it's like, well, what can we do with you now? It's and we've seen it with other WWE talent. There's been a lot of WWE talent that's been vocal. They get used, they get a good push, and all of a sudden, bam, they're flapped around losing every week. So that's kind of probably his mental breakdown. You're making me do this gimmick. You're pushing me to be this dark character, and all of a sudden, you're just beating me up week after week. Like, why? That's the thing. That's again, I can see WWE contributing to that, and he probably said, "I'm fed up. I had enough. I'm gonna go home." Sometimes, yes, I just said in the previous segment, money is why you should be in the business. But if you're uncomfortable in the business and you're not going to get your share and you want to walk away, hey, great, have something to fall back on. But in this case, that was probably the deal. Maybe he's waiting out to see if they'll break his deal and he can go someplace else.
Well, again, I just find it weird that, for someone who came back, also had issues. So I think there's something, I'm hoping, he's fine, but you can only wonder. Lance, your thoughts on this?
Well, here's the thing with Bray, his booking and everything with his situation has been so damn weird since 2020. It's one of those, you don't know if you should believe everything you see and only half of what you hear or what. Could he have a mental break or a mental problem? Yeah, but also, could they have been preparing to bring him back and team him with Alexa Bliss again, and then she got pregnant and those plans had to get scrapped? Also, yes. So this is just some more of that weird WWE booking of Bray that it's fucking confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, either way, I just really do hope that Bray Wyatt does have some kind of a speedy recovery and he is fine. The last thing I'd want to see for any wrestler is to be harmed or hurt. So, that's just one of those things. Joe, you did talk earlier about Stevie Richards, and Stevie Richards just talked about it in a shoot interview where his battle of his spine damage pretty much was a long battle himself, and he's right now just starting to the point where he's just slowly getting back to walking. I'm not going to go into the whole interview, but this is what he said real quick. Besides the CT scan, I'm officially out of the woods. But I also have to be very careful because of the effects. So the effects of the spine infection still lowered my immunity. But I'm down 35 pounds, which is why I wanted to lean out. But I didn't want to do it that way. But I'm down regardless. So now I'm about 180, and I'm doing workouts. I have to say thank God outside the hip of being injured, and but I'm able to put pressure on my back and this and that, and I'm definitely moving on, getting better day by day. So, Lance, your thoughts?
Well, honestly, the fact that Stevie's on the road to recovery and apparently getting better day by day, because it was kind of touch and go there for a while, is a wonderful thing. I mean, I follow him on his YouTube page where you can track the entire journey, which he's definitely getting stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, your thoughts?
Oh, you know what? It's great to see that he's, moving on and he's actually walking, because when you have an injury like that, it's it's great to see somebody walking away and actually having still be able to walk away. Let me just say that. So, kudos to him. I hope that he continues to keep, getting better and better. And I'm sure at this stage he also understands that now is the need to just simply step back. I'm glad he stepped back from professional wrestling, maybe a couple of autograph signings, but you know, good. It's a good thing to see him at least walking around and back. At least he's not paralyzed from it. I just hope he stays, and he seems to be staying away from wrestling, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
majority of what he does is fitness.
Right, he's a physical therapist, if I believe.
yeah, and when this first journey first started, he was in a wheelchair for a long time, and he
Yeah.
didn't think he was ever going to get up. And we talk about other wrestlers who have had neck injuries. There are wrestlers, like I said, such as Richards, who had literally had to start from all the way from the bottom, where other wrestlers who got lucky, yeah, they got a neck injury, but you know, they still were able to compete or do other stuff. So I think people like Richards and he would talk Braun Strowman, their journey to recovery is much, much longer and much, much harder. So
And here's another thing too. Um, Again, this is, and he even says it in the interview, where a lot of that injury was because of being, you know, in ECW and taking all the abuse with chairs, tables, you know, that's, again, this is why I've never really got into the whole hardcore stuff that they do. So honestly, it's good to see that he's moving around and doing stuff, because something like that, man, it is so hard when you think about it.
yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Now, with one last topic I want to talk about, and everybody's good, who a fan, and we're going to talk about Ryback, who everybody loves. Well, apparently, maybe everybody hates.
I've noticed he was stammering, Lance, trying to bring that out there because he knows he had to bring the word Ryback out.
Yeah, I was forgive you. There was a bit of a stutter there, but apparently, Ryback, took his exit from WWE 2016. We all know that he's done nothing. Even though he says he's clear to wrestle, he has open booking. Nobody wants him. So apparently, Booker T quickly shut out an offer for him to come on his podcast, but he quickly rescinded the offer after he found out that Ryback had all these demands. And pretty much in short, Booker said this. He goes, the invitation is rescinded for Ryback. Making demands for you to come on my show is a whole lot. You really don't want to talk. You want to talk. You don't want to have a conversation. So, Joe, you know what? When a Hall of Famer says, get the hell out of here, I think that should just be another hint that maybe he should just leave wrestling.
You know what? And here's the thing. He gave them the opportunity. He gave them the opportunity to come on a podcast that's known with a legend, to get his name out. To actually, who knows? Maybe an indie guy would be moronic enough to take him. But it's that scenario where you look, and he could have gotten that exposure, But no, he did not want to do that. He knew that he kind of assumed that, oh well, they're gonna make fun of me. This is what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna go through all that crap. It's honestly, he probably thought about it and just said no. Um, uh, it's one of those things, Rick, where guys like this just don't fucking get it, and it's good. He needs to stay away. He needs to not come back into the sport. That he's done his thing. He's not the type of person that you want in a company anyway. He's so you can see right there. He was temperamental. He was being an idiot, an asshole, and he didn't care. They gave him the opportunity to voice himself out, and yes, he could have gotten there. He could have said stuff, and he could have said, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what we can do," and blah blah blah. No, Rick, he did not do that. All he did was, well, he was right back. He decided to turn around and just literally just hide in the corner again.
Yeah, well, that was his own fault. Lance, your final thoughts.
Well, I saw a little thing about he said something about I I left WWE, which first off, motherfucker, you got fired. You didn't. You got fucking fired. And I addressed my injuries, which yeah, he might have done that, but still, let's face it, Ryback is a legend. Granted, it's a legend in his own mind, but
Fair enough. Okay.
this son bitch, he don't get it. What are they feeding him? Paint chips?
Well, I hope he would. I hope that somebody's feeding him paint chips. Maybe that way he'll go away and maybe die faster.
Yeah. Yeah, you look at a guy like this and who's had so much. I mean, god damn. Here's a guy who you really look at and he just doesn't fucking get it. Nobody wants him. Nobody needs him. So when you know, when you're in that state that nobody fucking wants you, guy, that's time for you to fucking maybe start. That I doubt even fucking McDonald's wants the man. It's he's in that state that let's do a real poll, and he's done it before, and he's denied the results. He's that one guy who's maybe just doesn't get it. Nobody wants him, and obviously I wonder what he does for a living, because it has to be something where people don't interact with him. So it makes you wonder about that. I just wonder what he really does.
I think he owns like a supplement company or something.
Okay, so he's telling everybody to stay their prayers and eat their vitamins. So okay. And unless
he's on some serious vitamins.
Yeah. Terry says it best. Doink the Clown of the Brooklyn Bowler has more legendary status than Ryback. Hell, the Mokies. If anybody remembers the tag team with the Mokies from the old NWA.
You know who has more legendary status than Ryback? George Goulas.
He was a lousy wrestler in itself because of his.
Daddy said, "Sell, please."
Yeah, jeez. Rick, and also Terry says Darby Allin isn't going to. It's going to be not too far from Stevie Richards if he keeps doing that stuff with the drops on the outside and all that, and all his little coffin drops.
You know what? You're not wrong. Darby Allin, I love him as a wrestler, but some of the stunts that he does is not even needed. I remember it was last year, the year before, where they put him in a body bag and they threw him down a flight of steps.
Yep.
And I'm like, why? That's
because
not like
he's an idiot. Here's the thing: today's wrestling, they are idiots. They don't get over like the old. I challenge anybody: go look at an 80s wrestling. Look at WWF, NWA wrestling from the 80s, mid 80s. Let me give you a good one, like 86. All right, compare the two. and you don't see all those high flying shit. You don't see all this. The you basically are entertained with just the promos, the psychology in the ring. Today is like Darby Allin's crossing his arms and dropping backwards. If I wanted to be an asshole, I would just move aside and let him hit the fucking concrete. And says, "How is that on your back, motherfucker? Do it again."
Well, at Double or Nothing, I'm sure he was feeling some pain after MJF threw the belt on the over uh, Jungle Boy.
Oh yeah, it's stuff. No matter what, falling on ladders, falling through tables, falling on chairs, falling on belts because belts are fucking heavy. You're shortening your lifespan, and this, I guess nobody. I think everybody, the veterans in the locker room, said, "Let's let these fucking kids kill themselves. They ain't listening to shit. Goodbye." Yeah, because that's the only thing I can fucking think of, guys.
Yeah. And Terry J said he's a vegan promoting vegan supplement. Oh, you're going back to Ryback. Sorry.
Right? It's not. That's not a Darby Allen thing. That's you know, honestly, why is the world even still talking about Ryback?
I
Because
don't
he
know.
said such stupid shit.
Yeah, Lance, do you actually think maybe he's filling the void now from the Iron Sheik?
I think that's an insult, to be
Joe,
honest.
you need to apologize for that.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying
That is
saying shit on.
the good damn name of the Iron Sheik.
Well, I'm saying in fact of
The
him
Iron Sheik
saying,
ruined his career. Let me say this: the Iron Sheik may have, ruined his career later on down the line due to alcohol and drugs and whatnot. But you know what? He still had legendary status. Ryback never had that.
yeah,
Forget it.
I give you that. Like I said,
Iron Sheik is the legend.
Yeah.
Ryback is jabroni.
That's why it's so funny to see this guy try to be relevant in the news. The best thing the man could do, if he wants to be relevant, do something like in public, maybe stand in a freeway blindfolded, or walk across a busy freeway during rush hour blindfolded, and let's see how well. It's like you know what? He reminds me of Daffy Duck. You know, let me drink all these nitroglycerin and explosives and blow himself up, and he can only do the trick once, and people still probably wouldn't fucking cheer.
All right. So with all that, guys, we are going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I want to thank everyone in the chat room. Terry 3G. Also, I believe who else was on
Right.
there? Damaged Incorporated. Rev Jake Slater was also in there. Thank you all, guys, for joining in and hanging out. I appreciate that. Joe, you're over at Skull and Realms. Tell everybody about it.
Well, guys, I do now, and see, now I'm stumbling here. Yeah, I do games from yesterday and today, from PC to console. I've been so busy with work and other projects, I really haven't had the time. But I'm going to try tonight to definitely go into doing my Mega Man game. I want to get that out of the way, so I will try to do that one later on tonight. And pretty much that's it. You can just do the hashtag Scoldrens Realm. I am on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. One of my other projects is Scoldrens Paranormal Realms, which is actually following up on the ghost and UFO stuff. They've actually had in my area, they announced it recently, Bigfoot sighting. So there'll probably be Hornswoggle wearing some big shoes running through the forest. So just make sure, again, do the hashtag Scoldrens Realm. I am on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm also on Twitter at Scoldren. And check out BC Games and More. BC and Mrs. A are always on either Saturday or Sunday night at 9:30 on Facebook. Make sure you check them out. Send BC a big happy birthday. His birthday passed not too long ago, a couple days ago.
And happy birthday to Mr. A. Lance, you're over at Lance Moss TV. What do you got going on over there?
Well, right now it's just Lance Moss TV and Friends Coffee Time, which is every Tuesday night. We never know who's going to show up, and it's at 7:05 Central, 8:05 Eastern. Where anywhere else, you do the math, and well, yeah.
All right. So for the hardcore wrestling, for the hardcore crew, I'm your hardcore host Rick Head saying, we'll see you when we see you.
Buy the shirt.